Now that everyone is super confused, we're going to do the best we can to kind of piece all of this together in an example that I hope makes as much sense to you as possible. So let's talk about Bob here. It's open enrollment time for Bob, and he needs to pick an individual plan for just him. He doesn't have any kids. He's got nobody to worry about but himself. Bob's a pretty healthy guy, likes to do CrossFit, so he gets injured from here to here time and time again. So he knows that going to PT might be something that it happens somewhat regularly for him. Bob is doing okay. He's not a millionaire. He's doing fine, supporting himself, getting along just fine. He's not struggling right now financially, but he's also, like I said, not loaded, but he's doing okay. So Bob looks at his plans and says, the Mac Daddy plan has a premium that costs him $500 per paycheck just to have health insurance. The Plan B costs him $250 a paycheck to have health insurance, and Plan C costs him $175. Let's look at Plan A though. His deductible on Plan A is only $750. That means he needs to pay $750 out of pocket before his insurance will kick in, versus being a $3,000 deductible on Plan B and a $6,500 deductible on Plan C. So again, if Bob pays a little more each month, it'll cost him much less to use his health insurance on that deductible. If Bob knows he's going to be using a lot of health insurance, he looks at his out-of-pocket max and goes, I paying $500 a paycheck, I'm going to pay an additional $1,400 out of pocket to healthcare expenses before everything is covered at 100%, versus that number being upwards of $5,500 on Plan B and $11,000 on Plan C. So again, seeing that kind of changing gradient of if you pay more now, you pay less later. If you pay in the middle of the road now, you'll pay middle of the road expenses. And if you pay less upfront each paycheck, your healthcare is going to cost more money. Digging deeper, Bob wants to know specifically, how does his healthcare plan take care of physical therapy? Now, if he pays for that Mac Daddy plan, he's only paying a $15 copay. So pay more each paycheck, pay less each visit. On Plan B, he's paying a little bit more and he has a 10% co-insurance, meaning that Bob paying $250 a paycheck to have his insurance is going to have to pay $3,000 out of pocket of his own money towards healthcare expenses, after which it's a 10% co-insurance to pay for the rest of his healthcare expenses. So again, let's say for the sake of math, Bob is paying $60 a visit going towards a $3,000 deductible for PT. Once he hits it and it's a 10% co-insurance, he now is paying $6 a visit. But again, paying toward that deductible with less money out of pocket. Conversely, Plan C, a lot cheaper on Bob each paycheck, but knowing he's going to have to pay a lot more to use his health insurance. It's going to be a bigger deductible, upwards of $6,500, and a much higher out-of-pocket maximum. So let's do the math to just kind of make it make sense. And again, these are all theoretical numbers, but ballpark of ratios you might see in a healthcare plan. So if Bob wants to pay $500 a paycheck to have health insurance, he's getting paid twice a month, that's $12,000 total that it's costing him to have Plan A. So that's just $12,000 just to have that plan. But his out-of-pocket maximum, what he would have to pay total for the year in healthcare expenses, is $1,400. So we do that math. That's $12,000 plus $1,400 is $13,400. So the most Bob is paying a year, if he used all of his health insurance up, would be $13,400. Conversely, let's look at Plan C. If we look at Plan C, the cheapest plan, Bob is paying $175 per paycheck, getting paid twice a month. That is $4,200 just to have healthcare insurance. Now, if Bob uses up all of insurance, something major happens, he gets in a bad accident, breaks his leg, has to have surgery, it's going to cost him his out-of-pocket max, the most it will cost him to use up all of insurance, is an additional $11,000. So we do the math there. Bob's premium that he's paying plus his out-of-pocket max, he's looking at paying $15,400. So this is where the math comes into play. If you, for some reason, had to use up all of your healthcare insurance, and again, for most people this is an issue, but it does happen. You have a surgery, you get into a car accident, whatever. You're looking at less of a monthly expense, but paying $2,000 more on the year. So it gets a little bit of a risk reward thing, right? Which is why most people end up picking that middle of the road plan, because they don't want to pay out the wallet too much for their healthcare expenses, but they want to have themselves covered should anything happen. So this is where that decision comes in. I highly, highly suggest that you get a good understanding of all of the plans that your company offers, because these words can seem very intimidating and daunting, but if you really know what they're talking about when they say these, it makes selecting a healthcare plan for you much, much simpler. It makes you feel much, much better about your choice, and you get much less blindsided when you get these bills in the mail. You go, okay, I understand why I'm paying this much versus that much. I understand why my physical therapy costs this much and not that much. So again, understand these terms and understand how they apply. Plan A is going to cost you more up front, but less down the road. Plan B is going to be middle of the road. Plan C is going to cost you much less up front, but at the end of the day, you can do the math right there and know that you're paying more, especially if things get ugly.